Now, sclera is an outermost layer. Say city. The function of the sclera, it is to protect all the inner structures of the eye. So, the main function for the sclera is to protect whatever there is inside the eye. So all the other parts that are making up the eye, they are protected or they are lined by the sclera as for the protection. Another thing that you need to understand, when you move from this direction, going forward, from here, the same line of sclera, the pambili is going to be called cornea. I'm telling it. That's all. Also, whenever they are showing you, or whenever they point an arrow here, you cannot say it's a what? Sclera. But that becomes what? A cornea. Says on it. Alright, that's the first layer that we have. The second layer that we have is the middle layer. The choroid. What's the middle layer? The choroid. Now, the choroid is rich in blood vessels. It is rich in what? In blood vessels, supplying oxygen and nutrients to the eye. So we say the choroid is rich in blood vessels to supply the eye with what? With nutrients and oxygen. Says on it. Okunye often ukwazi nechoroid. It prevents a reflection of light. Now you must understand there is a difference between reflection and refraction. Do you understand? Do you understand? There is a reflection and there is a reflection. So la it prevents the reflection of light, whereby you're ending up seeing two images. You see one person, but you see two images of that person. That's reflection. So it prevents the eye with reflection. Sorry, it prevents a reflection of light. Okunye often ukwazi it's a what? It's a pigmentized layer. So maybe a pigmentized layer that prevents reflection. The choroid. It's what's the function of the sclera? To protect all the inner structures of the eye. And then now we're looking at the second layer, the middle layer, which is known as the choroid. We said the choroid is rich in blood vessels and it to supply the eye with what? With oxygen and what? And nutrients. So the eye of a human being. You see there are so many blood vessels running in and out there. So those blood vessels are there to supply what? Oxygen. And they are there to supply what? Nutrients. Do you understand? You know whenever a person never slept, like you were in a cross night, what happens to your eyes? They become red. The reddishness, so you show you need oxygen in your eyes. You're lacking oxygen, that's why your eyes are red. Do you understand? Alright. And then we look at the inner layer, which is the retina. On top of the retina, it's very important to understand the dot. Number one, the retina has what we call what? Photoreceptors. Meaning that these are the cells that are sensitive to light. So that's the only layer that has photoreceptors. Are you with me? Number two, when you talk of the photoreceptors, we have the receptors that are referred to as cones, and we have receptors that are referred to as what? Rods. Do you understand? So these are the two photoreceptors that we're going to talk about. The cones They are sensitive to bright lights. And the rods, they are sensitive to dim light. So the rods, they are for dim light. Whenever you are in a dim light or in a dim area, the photoreceptors that will be working there are the rods. And whenever you are in a bright light, or you are looking at something bright, or you are exposed to a bright light, because if you're looking at something like yellow, like white, pink, those are bright lights. So those bright lights are going to be detected by the cones. And then wherever you're looking at something black, brown, nave, all those colors that are dim, you are now using your what? Your rods. Now, when you go back to your retina as a layer, when you move with your retina, it's an internal layer, but now it has this area and it has that area. Do you understand? This area is known as the blind spot. So the blind spot is found on the retina, and this layer is known as the yellow spots. So you have two spots on the retina. You have how many spots on the retina? Two. Now you have to understand each spot. The first spot that we will look at is the yellow spots. The yellow spots, with regards to the photoreceptors, we say they have higher concentration of cones and lower concentration of rods. So, on the yellow spots, this is where you will find higher concentration of cones, the ones that are sensitive to what? Bright light. And this is where you'll find lower concentration of rods, and this the rods, the ones that are sensitive to dim lights. Do you understand? Now, what else that you need to understand? When you're looking at the blind spots, now we want to check the photoreceptors that are found in the blind spot. In the blind spots, there are no photoreceptors. There are what? There are no photoreceptors. So, Uma City, blind spots, we mean there are no rods, there are no cones. There is nothing that is sensitive to light on the blind spot. That means, should it happen that when you receive light and your light enters straight and it falls on the blind spot, is there an image that you will form? No. Therefore, you become blind because the light is falling on the blind spots. The light that you receive, it does not mean people who are blind, they do not receive light. They do receive light, just that their light is falling on the blind spots where there are no photoreceptors. Do you understand? But now, yes? The light must be deviated or must be refracted into the yellow spot where the clearest image will form. Because if ever we say, okay, we cannot allow the light to go in this direction, at some point the light needs to bend and change direction and goes to the yellow spots. Do you understand? So what you're seeing here, you are seeing refraction of light. Are you with me? What do you see? Refraction of light. So now, what is it that causes or that bends this light? The cornea and the lens. Are you with me? So the cornea and the lens, what do they do? Refract light rays to the yellow spots. So whereas when they ask you about the retina, they won't specify and say yellow spots, but they will say the layer where clearest images are formed. And what you're gonna say? The yellow spot is not a layer, it's a spot. What's the layer? the retina. When they ask you the function of the retina, what do you say? An area where clearest images are formed. Distinction. They are not talking about the spot. It's you who knows the spots. But they are talking about the retina as a whole. Says one. So, another thing that we need to look at is what we call adaptations of the light, adaptations to bend light. So we said, Tina, izinto that refracts light rays. Eyokuqala, lens. Esibili, cornea. So when they ask you in the exam and say, explain how the lens is structurally adapted to perform its function. What is its function? Refract light rays to the yellow spots. So, what is it that the lens has which assists the lens to refract light rays? You understand? That's what they're asking. What is it that the lens has which assists the lens to refract what? Light rays. The first thing, the lens is biconvex. When we say the lens is biconvex, we mean the lens can be more convex and the lens can be less convex. So these two things allow it to bend light efficiently. Says one. That's the first thing. Number two, the lens is elastic. So the lens is what? Elastic. The lens is not like the sclera, the one we said is not elastic. But the lens is what? Elastic. It can bend the light. Says on it. And the third one, the lens is transparent. Says on it. The lens is what? Transparent. Something that is transparent would mean it can allow light to pass through. Says on it. Okay, and then they ask you the same thing on the cornea and say, explain what makes the cornea to be structurally adapted to perform its function. What is it that the cornea has which allows it to bend light? The only thing that it has, it is transparent. The cornea is what? Transparent. That's how the cornea is. Anoma says one. Says one. So when they ask you the adaptations, guys, whenever the question says structural adaptation, you must understand what they need you to talk about the structure. Says one. Says one. All right. And then we look at these two muscles. These muscles are known as ciliary muscles. What are they known as? Ciliary muscles. Those muscles, what do? They contract and relax to change the shape of the lens. Mind you, when this muscle contracts, it affects the suspensory ligaments. Suspensory ligaments affect the lens. You understand? So, this one contracts and relax to change the shape of the lens. Says one name. The ciliary muscles, they contract and relax to change the shape of the what? Of the lens. Says one on it. Okay, and then we look at these rope-like structures. What are they called? Suspensory ligaments. The main function for suspensory ligaments, it is to hold the lens in position. So the main function for the suspensory ligaments, it is to hold the lens in what? In position. Says one on it. Alright. Also, we have that region where we have ciliary muscle, and then we have another ciliary muscle. Our ciliary muscles, the lens stay, it's fine. Then we have what is called what? Iris. And this is also what? Iris. So the name. The first function for iris, it gives the eye color. I need to ask you to make sure it's our fun. Huh? I'm make sure it's our fun. So, let me go now. Like when you look at someone's eye, the bigger black dots, that's your iris. So what? The bigger black dot is what? The iris. Some have blue, some have brown, some have green. So the iris is the one that gives the eye color. Number 2. Yes. Control the amount of light that enters the eye. So it controls the amount of light that enters the what? The eye. So that's the work of the iris and pupil working together in order to control the amount of light that enters the what? The eye. And then we have this nerve. What is this nerve? Optic nerve. The main function of a nerve, everywhere you go, transmits the nerve impulse to the brain. But in this case, we won't say to the brain because we know exactly whereabouts. Mind you, the eye is a sense organ, right? So all the senses are interpreted in the cerebrum. Okay. So, transmits the impulse to the cerebrum. It transmits the impulse to the cerebrum. Are you still with me? Okay. And then there is this jelly-like layer that is found here. Right? This jelly-like layer and this other jelly-like layer found here. This layer is called aqueous humor, and this one is called vitreous humor. So, this one is called the aqueous humor, and this one is called the vitreous humor.